Good afternoon, everyone. Just standing between lunch and in this panel discussion. When I was preparing for this today's session, I was amazed at Vikas's choice of, the topic. In one topic, he has covered so many things: innovative growth strategy, and he didn't end at that, for value creation. So such a vast sea of topics he has covered. And I really feel fortunate because I'll just tell you, amongst my panelists, I have somebody who's from agrochemicals, somebody who's into manufacturing and trading of a multinational, somebody, Gaurav, who represents fintech, and I have SM Niryat, iron and steel, the core business, one of the core businesses of Kolkata. So we have a fantastic, diverse group. And as a moderator, I will like to step back. All these companies, so far as I know, for example, mPokket, they have done a fantastic work in, providing credit to the, new age, new to credit, what we call NTC, 18-year, 19-year-old, getting disciplined in credit, discovering as C.K. Prahlad says, fortune lies at the bottom of the pyramid, delivering credit to the undelivered is what they have done. Similarly, Shashi comes from Gainwell, a company which is now working with Caterpillar, and they've got into manufacturing as well as trading, and a very fast growing company. SM Niryat, again, they started with trading, then they are now manufacturing TMT bars in name of Govinda, if I'm, yes. So they have diversified. Willowood, as we saw ourselves from 22 crores to 2,000 crores, in 30 different countries, So this panel, I will request each one of them to first share their side of the story. And I'll start with Mr. Dinesh, because iron and steel is where we should start, and then we will move forward. So please share a little bit about the journey of SM Niryat, how it started and how it went on.
Good afternoon, and I would really like to thank the Vikash and the audience for giving me this opportunity and coming to this session. Basically, I have my experience in iron and steel industry is almost now 12 years. And I have seen the steel industry, how it is from the up, it has come to down, and then again gone up, particularly after the COVID period. So after the COVID period, steel industry has moved a lot, and it has really came up very well, wiping out those industries, those companies we were really able to manage their era before COVID. They have really wiped out all their losses, all their past difficulties and things, and now they are doing very well. Unfortunately, few of the companies could not manage their past losses or past problems, and they had gone into NCLT. So, regarding the SM Niryat journey, I can say it's a small trading firm which really started from the basic level of transportation and logistics and little bit of trading. From there, it has grown to today 5,000 crore turnover company, and with a profit margin of almost 400 to 500 crore at the bottom level.
I think that deserves an applause.
And let me tell you, it is a young, dynamic person, Mr. Manish Khemka, and at such early stage, he has been able to achieve it. And from trading, he did not stick to the trading only. If you say after Runta, SM Niryat is the second largest company in the East to export this much of volume from the country. And the thing is that it has grown to such a level now, like anybody who is mine owner. SM Niryat is not a mine owner. It sources all the material from the mine owner. But it has grown to such strength and such level of performance that no mine owner can come and compete with the SM Niryat. Though they have huge volume in their mines, but having material at your own source or at your own pocket does not mean that you can execute that and sell that in the market. For that, you need a different strategy, which SM Niryat has built over a period of time. And from SM Niryat trading mentality, then the thought came into the promoter's mind that why not manufacturing. So in way back 2018-19, we have acquired a very small company called Nilachal Iron and Power Limited. It was acquired through ARC. Earlier, this company was belonged to Jai Balaji. And that time, it was a very small entity, only 550 TPD per day of sponge iron, nothing else. From there, and it was valuation of around 150 crore. From there, it has been built to, today it has been built to a fully integrated steel plant, starting from sponge iron of 1800, from 550 to 1800, and then SMS, and then rolling mill. And today we have built a brand of Govinda TMT in the name of Govinda TMT. And this brand is now visible in at least eastern region. And you can see Calcutta also, a lot of places you can see the brand. And again, we further moving into growth in the manufacturing capacity. We have recently acquired OCL Iron and Steel Limited, which is a steel unit based in Odisha. And there we want to expand our capacity. And with this acquisition, one best part is there is no term loan in the company. And with this acquisition, it is a net worth of almost 3,000 crore without any loan. This I take a pride. And whenever I talk to my boss, okay, sir, you want to expand or you want to buy this unit, I can arrange the finance. He comes and says, no, don't trap me in the loan. So, but at least we have managed to get some kind of working capital limits in form of LC, BG, because in exports we need a lot of LCs and BG limits so that we can finance our working capital cycle. So this is the what we with this acquisition we will be able to have a capacity of at least 3,000 ton per day of TMT, and then accordingly we are expanding our TMT also. So we will be making at least 40 to 50,000 ton per month of TMT in the name of Govinda brand. This is what we have planned and what we have achieved so far.
दिनेश जी, अगर आप लोग डेट वेट नहीं लेंगे ना तो हमारी जैसी फर्म्स जो है जो डेट सिंडिकेशन का काम करती है वो आउट ऑफ बिजनेस हो जाएंगी. सो यू आर अ थ्रेट टू आवर काइंड ऑफ कंपनीज.
My promoter's funda is very clear. I will fund my growth with my profit. It's very simple funda. I will fund my growth with my profit.
Excellent, sir. But offline we will discuss about leverage. I'm not going to. Yes, why you need to leverage your capital. But excellent journey and really, you know, again, during the course we will realize those who say that Calcutta mein business nahi hai. We have 4 companies who are doing extremely well. Each one of them is doing extremely well, and you know, and have grown in the last 5, 6, 7 years. So growth nahi hai, strategy intent ho to growth hai. I will now shift to from steel, iron and steel. Must move to agriculture. अभी किसान आंदोलन चल रहा, so agriculture is in the limelight right now. And I'll request Mr. Neeraj Mundhra to share his journey from 2 crores to 2,000 crores.
So किसान आंदोलन चल रहा है, but हमारा कोई ऐसा आंदोलन करने का plan नहीं है, so don't worry. So yes, when I started my journey with Willowood, and when I joined this company, that time the turnover was only 20 crores, and just we started in 2008. So we always discuss with the management ki end of the day my consumer is farmers, and typically when your consumer is poor, how you can make money out of that consumer, which is literally a poor people. So, but I tell you, if you see the track of agrochemical industry from 2008 to 2023, most of the companies are growing with 15 or 20% kind of a CAGR, because the industry has grown from 500 crores to 30,000 crore last year. So there's a phenomenal growth in this particular industry, and we are also the part of this particular growth. So I would say from Willowood point of view, we start what Dinesh ji has mentioned. We also started in the same way We started as a trading business. We started supplying raw material to other agrochemical companies. Then we started a white label business for fertilizer business. Then we started our own brand. Then we thought, okay, now we need to move outside India, and gradually we expand our business in bigger agrochemical geographies like Latin America, US, and Europe. So obviously, that way we did some organic or inorganic acquisition or growth mode. So typically, the journey was very fantastic, and obviously the industry support was always there. So typically from there, like today, in India, we are having a distributor network of close to 14,000 distributors we are having in India. We are catering more than 8 lakhs farmers in India. Other than that, we are dealing with more than 300 SKUs. So we are having close to 70 distribution point from where we can cater to those particular distributors. So that way, our presence in the rural market is very phenomenal.
Thank you, Mr. Neeraj. And we'll discuss this further. Now from from iron and steel to agro, let's move to capital goods, and I'll ask Shashi ji to share her perspective on how, Gainwell, which is earlier was Tractors India and has been acquired by the Gainwell group. And I can personally tell you it's one of the fastest growing companies in the region. And she's the CFO of one of the group companies. I ask her to share her journey, how Gainwell has, starting from a agency, then moving to manufacturing, and through mergers and acquisitions, how they've grown. I'll ask her to share her journey.
Thank you, Pawanji. So yes, Tractors India Limited and Gainwell have been in news for last couple of weeks. They have been in news for last couple of weeks here. So the irony of it is that we have acquired Tractors India Limited, which was once holding one of our flagship company as its subsidiary. That was Gainwell Commo Sales Private Limited. It was erstwhile known as Tractors India's Private Limited, which was taken up by our Mr. Chaturvedi, our promoter. He took up that company in 2014, made a turnaround story for that particular company, which was not doing so well at that point of time, and took it over, turned it around, and then innovation came into picture. So this company was majorly into Caterpillar dealership business for the northern and the eastern part of the country. And Caterpillar, very, very particular, that's a global brand, and they're very particular about their agencies, how it's been run, how it's been functioning, etc. So the compliances, the governances were very tight. Having said that, they were kind of, that point in 2021, 22, they were planning to hive up one of their business. And that's when Mr. Chaturvedi, leaped at the, opportunity, took up the IP license, global IP license for one of the global business manufacturing, underground mining equipments rights. He took it up, got it here in India, and that even to Kolkata. We were talking about businesses not growing here. So here, people have been questioning him, why Kolkata? Why not somewhere else? But yes, his love for Kolkata and the opportunities here, he got it here. That's the second leg of the story. And third is then acquiring the original company, Tractors India Limited. That's the third leg of the story, which we are recently going through. Yes, we have recently acquired Tractors India Limited, and the journey is on. So as we were discussing M&A in the first panel discussions, there are two sides of the story. Before the challenges before we face, we acquire, and the challenges we face after we acquire. So now the first leg has completed for us. We will be getting into the second leg of challenges. One of the main challenge would be the change management. That's the biggest and the toughest one. It's easy to get the company, it's easy to acquire them. Not easy that way, but successfully running it, turning it around is a story. So we do have that experience with us because we did that in 2014. We got that Tractors India Private Limited, acquired it and turned it around. And this is another story which we are looking forward to turning around this newly acquired company, change management, so financially, culturally, there are a lot of integrations to be done. Synergies needs to be reaped. Basically, all the three companies, when put together, they flow into each other. Tractors manufacture certain raw materials for us. We manufacture certain equipments for my next leg company who will be getting into mining business. So it's a beautifully synergized acquisitions, innovatively and taking the opportunities at the right moment, seizing the opportunities at the right moment, setting up the business and taking a growth story. So as my company is a startup, it's just about 2 years old, not even 2 years old. So we are just completing the first year of operation into fiscal year 23-24. We'll be touching around 200 crores this year and look forward to 400 crores next year. And so basically it is one of its kind in India, first in its India, because we have been importing all the underground mining equipment till now. The machines which grows underground, inside the mines, they have been imported till now. But now here it is made in India, to the aspiration of fulfilling the capital infrastructure requirements of the countries, which it's really very much required to grow, as we really talk about the focus is infrastructure right now. So that's where we are talking about fulfilling those dreams, the dream of Coal India to mine 1 billion ton, reach production of 1 billion ton of metric ton of coals by 26. We want to partner in that. Having a global presence for us, having the entire global customers for us. So yes, the opportunities are endless.
Shashi ji, also I'd like to touch upon I think your group has one of the largest FDIs in the region.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's also has an FDI
yes, angle. Yes. So one of our company, and we are looking for more as we speak. So no, so opportunities are, yes, we can seize the opportunities there. But so one of our companies is already having an FDI. It is by another Caterpillar dealership partner who believes in the company, who believes in the ethos and the governance which we bring on the table. The company brings it on the table, and it's beautifully managed and partnered since 2014 when we took over the journey of having TIPL, that point of time. So the private equity partner has been moving with us hand in hand since then, and they're very much in awe with the entire system which is run. So having a PE partner definitely helps you in terms of, it's a 40% stake which they have in the company. As we were discussing in terms of, governance, how do we had a question that, what to look into the partner. So at times is that they have to believe in you, their strategies. When we sit on the board meetings are really held at length and we discuss everything. Everything is transparently put onto the board by the team here. So that's basically, they do not interfere into day-to-day business, but they really know, they understand the business because they're in a similar kind of business running themselves for a different part of the region, global region. They are from Dubai. So they definitely understand that governance is very important. And again, coming back to the independence of the company to be run by the professionals who are running it, who know the region, who know the company very well, not interfering, but definitely making sure that the governance is very well presented and adhered to. So governance for us turned a sick company into a good one, took us to growth, and got a good partner there as well in terms of the finances were concerned. So yes, for us, if I have to really look back and say that yes, governance is required, it is not a showstopper, it is rather an aid to make you successful. Ignoring governance might, for the time being, give you growth, short-term growth. But long run, it's going to reflect in your balance sheet. Trust me, some way or the other, you will find to creep into your balance sheet. Maybe 3 years, 2 years, 4 years down the line, you might find some results, but end of the day, it will show it into your balance sheet. It has to.
I think Byju's from a 22 billion valuation to what it is today has shown that 4 year is the right period you are mentioning.
Just, Pawanji, I would like to add one point, what Shashi said. Managing the show after acquisition. Obviously, this is a very, very difficult phase, particularly when you have acquired through NCLT. See, I have been part of acquisition for 4 companies through NCLT. the challenges really not before the acquisition, challenges we really face after the acquisition, and particularly when the company is not working or not functioning. If the plant is not working, not functioning, you get hell lot of plethoras of problem in terms of manpower, litigations, in terms of your licenses, in terms of getting your water, electricity, everything. Though law supports us, law support that if you have acquired through NCLT, no past losses or no parts previous cases and nothing is there. But to get a plant up and running, you face a hell lot of challenges. Even after every time we go and score the judgment of Supreme Court in Ghanshyam Mishra and Sons cases. Sir, this is the case where Supreme Court has given its judgment that it is not applicable for us. But still, the department says, we don't know. We have got this direction from our higher authorities. Now you go and explain to them. You go and meet to them. This is really, really a challenge. And I have seen that challenges. And it's not easy for a company to revive after the NCLT, particularly when the company is not working or is not functioning.
Yeah, just to add there, the challenges lies both outside the company and inside the company. You have to face internal challenges with the employees, the existing team which is there, and they question your every move. And सबसे पहले एक ही चीज़ है, हम ऐसा पहले नहीं करते थे, ऐसा नहीं होता था, हम ऐसे करते थे. Move on. It's time to move on. But you just cannot tell them that. You have to maneuver them into, at times with force, at times with softer skills, to get them what you want to. You have to get them things done. So it's very difficult. Still outside stakeholders at times, you can just put that piece of paper in front of them and say, hey, this is it. Inside, it is all about people management, and very difficult one to get them working onto the, getting to synergize to the current company's ethos in which you are working now. It's something which has to be very, very tactfully handled.
It's never easy to forget the X. So, and all those people who are so far wondering कि okay ठीक है कलकत्ता में growth की बात कर रहे हैं सारा तो manufacturing में या iron and steel में है, then you will be surprised in the next 5 minutes when Gaurav shares his journey of a fintech based out of Calcutta which is doing phenomenally well. I request Gaurav to share his last 6-7 of journey based out of Calcutta, a fantastically homegrown fintech mPokket.
Thank you, Pawanji. Thank you for inviting me and giving me an audience. So we are a relatively young company, started 8 years ago. My journey was from finance to fintech, although not in the same domain. So before starting mPokket, I was basically in the fund management industry, worked at Fidelity for, Fidelity Fund Management for some time, and then started my own portfolio management business, and then started mPokket. So the idea behind mPokket was, let's try to do something different. Let's use the knowledge that I have and use technology and see what we can achieve, right? There's a lot of opportunity in India. That statement was true 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's still true today, and it's not going to change for at least the next 20, 30 years. So that's the idea which we started. We started out giving loans to college students, right? We said, everybody, even if you're a student, you need to start building your credit history. You need small amounts of money at certain points in time. But, you have no access in India, and it's only true in India. Outside India, if you're a college student, Western countries, you can get a credit card. I went to the US for my education. I got a credit card even though I was an international student from outside the country, right? So it's possible. Why not in India, right? No one had even thought about it. Started giving out 500, 1,000 rupee loans. So that's how we started. Again, idea was, we've kind of done things a little differently overall in our approach, right? So even if you look at the digital lenders today, our portfolio, the kind of customers we serve, the average ticket sizes, everything is very different, because we've always taken the approach of trying to really go after those people who are not served. we never tried to compete with the banks and say, hey, or other larger players who are, doing lending and say they are doing this, let me try and do a little bit better and see if we can get customers and get some market share. So started with college students. Now over the years, build the business. Portfolio has expanded. Now we give loans to salaried individuals, to self-employed people, to gig workers. Our average outstanding is less than 10,000 rupees per borrower. So a very different approach we've taken to doing things. And, again, started from zero. We were a registered startup at some point, then we outgrew that because the government says after 7 years, you're no longer a startup. So, and that's a good thing. We've grown out of that definition. We like to think of ourselves as a regular business. Another way in which we're different is we've never raised any, large funding rounds. Mostly startups are known for the kind of, funding rounds they raise, valuations, multiple VCs investing in them, etc. I mean, we've taken the more traditional route. Not exactly as Dinesh ji was saying, because in our business, in lending, money is raw material. Very difficult to grow if you're only doing it through equity. So you have to take on debt. But I think we've been relatively conservative, compared to other companies or generally in the industry. So it's been an interesting journey from, literally going to zero, sitting across the table with 5 people trying to set up the basics of the business, giving out money initially, building that mobile app, trying to reach borrowers, to coming to a point where, we're disbursing 20-25 crores on a daily basis to almost 1 lakh borrowers daily, right? So that's the kind of scale that we've reached today. And this is a pan-India business. I mean, we happen to be based out of Calcutta. Most of our employees are still here, but we have centers across the country. Our users have always been pan-India. That's the beauty of a digital business. You can actually do that. You don't need to go set up offices in every single place where you want to reach a customer. So, and we've also, expanded internationally. We've launched a credit card for students and immigrants in the US. So trying to see what all we can do, and trying to take an innovative approach to, to business in general.
Very interesting, based out of Calcutta, serving all across the countries, totally digital, serving a market which is unserved. So that shows the kind of opportunity we are staring at. This 18-year, 19-year-old guys, children, are easily taking to the mobile app, borrowing, and the entire lending process is end-to-end, is completely technology-driven, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it's a completely digital business. So from the point of starting with marketing, acquiring a customer, to, in our business, doing collections.
Even disbursement
everything is automated. Yeah,
so in disbursement also there is no human intervention involved.
No, there's no human intervention at any point in the journey, customer journey.
From a time somebody downloads the app, how much time does it take for him to get the money in his account?
It can be as fast as half an hour. It depends, because you have to do your KYC process. Yes. So if you have the documents and everything ready, it can be as fast as half an hour from the time you download the app to getting the money.
So and it's 24/7.
It's 24/7. Like we are disbursing and collecting even at 1 a.m. in the night, 2 a.m. in the night.
So that's the level of innovation I just wanted to highlight. I've been working with Gaurav, so I know a little bit more about mPokket, and this is the opportunity. And you can sit anywhere and you just need to get the things right. India is such a market that it is still, there is so much. We always try to take a share of the pie, but there is a bigger pie which is waiting unserved. And Gaurav has successfully been able to cater. How much cash burn have you done, Gaurav?
So thankfully we've been a profitable company since 2018. So we turned profitable in our second year of operations and have been mostly self-funding our business.
So startup and no cash burn. Thank you. Neeraj ji, I think you have a big international presence, and again based out of Calcutta. So what 30 countries you are serving, if I'm not
47.
47. So ये कलकत्ता में बैठ के 47 countries का network आपने कैसे किया? वो how did you because again यहाँ के there is some कि कलकत्ता को लेके एक certain mindset तो है ही. So we will like you to present to the audience कि कैसे How did you manage to get into 40s, and with that too with a product which is related to agriculture?
Yeah, so growing business internationally is most important thing. Like if you really wants to become a MNC, so typically I can talk about all the alphabets, but typically what major alphabets we follow, like managing a global team is the biggest challenge, as because all the countries are having different culture, different product, different pack size. So we are kind of a FMCG kind of a company where we are dealing with more than 300 SKUs with 100 plus products. So obviously, what are the major challenges we facing in terms of, I would say, managing a global team? And at the same time, I would say N stand for nuances for the foreign policies relation with the country. So like we did one acquisition in China. So typically the language was the biggest barrier, and when we started business in China, like 95% of the population did not understand English, and only the top level people understand the language. With the 95% you are not able to communicate. So this is very difficult in terms of expanding a business internationally. So what are the key things you need to follow when you start thinking, okay, you should grow your business internationally? First is what Shashi mentioned earlier, like synergy. So you should define the synergy properly. Okay, this particular product, so typically we deal with the agri products, so where the crop pattern, so if you know India is the highest paddy producer in globally, so you should target, okay, your product is good for the paddy, so which are the other countries where paddy is the biggest crop, and the climatical condition should also be the same. So that way you should plan the best synergy. Okay, what exactly is the USP and which you can replicate in the international market. So that is the key. And the second thing, what we believe is, since we belongs to a regulated industry where you need approval from Agriculture Ministry, you need approval from the Health Ministry, you need approval from the Environmental Ministry, as because your product finally goes to the agriculture, finally human consume the output, so you need approval from the health, and at the same time environment, it's impact the environment. So typically you understand the detailed landscape of any country with respect to legal and environmental and geographical landscape. As because we did one acquisition in Argentina, we acquired one molecule in that particular country, but because of the political reason, that country banned that molecule after 6 months of the acquisition. So sometimes it is difficult. So it is always better, you should understand your synergy, and you understand your USP, and that you should replicate in that particular market. That is the key from my side.
Thanks so much. So must understand the market. But how did you handle competition? मैंने ऐसा तो नहीं है ना कि आपके लिए market वहाँ पे wait कर रहा था. There must have been competition from other countries, from other suppliers, from local suppliers.
Yeah, so I would say, like if I tell you, so then it's comes on the volume. So like when we acquired one entity in Brazil, when we were in the due diligence, okay, so we saw that particular entity procuring the material from China, and the sources of those material will remain same. So when we did the due diligence, we found that particular entity based out at Brazil are procuring, say, that material at a 10 or 12% higher cost, as because their volumes are comparatively less, whereas the same material we are importing in India with 10-12% lower cost. So you need to find it out, okay, what value you can add in that particular market, and with that you can add your own molecules. Okay, these are the 5 molecule current market is there. You can add your 5 different molecules, and then you can compete with the other players. So you should have your USP in place. Okay, other players are offering 5-6 molecules, where you are offering 12-13 molecules, so you can hand on the distribution network.
One rather a little political question I would like to ask you, that we all have this perception, and rightfully so, but we don't have that much access to the international markets. How has the image of India been in the last 10-12 years? How has it changed, or is there a real change, or it is just marketing?
So with respect to our industry, I would say till 2010, the contribution from India was hardly there's any contribution in terms of agrochemical exports to global market, which significantly increased. So technically what challenges, because our business is more a IP-driven business where your IP is the key. So typically earlier, the major problem what MNCs are facing from the China key, when they give their IPs to China, there's a conflict after some time. Once the patent expires, they explore that particular product and they distribute like anything. So because of that particular reason, they are looking for the China plus one story. And obviously, most of the multinationals is looking for another source of this thing, and India is becoming the second source for this particular thing. So obviously, the image of India has changed, especially in the bigger markets like Brazil and USA, because nowadays India is contributing like 20-25% of import of those countries. Earlier, I would say from our side, the commitment was the bigger issue. If we are having 100 ton of capacity, we were committed for 120, 130 MT, and later on we failed to deliver on time because our products are seasonal product and the window of uses is very limited. If your particular product goes for a cotton or for a particular paste, so the window is very small. So considering in our industry, the delivery of product on time is the key. And typically in that particular angle, India improved their image. And obviously we all know with the political this thing, Modi ji's or Jaishankar visits to multiple countries, obviously the Indian image has changed. But I would say we have to work more on this particular area.
Excellent. Very valid point. Shashi ji, even the government of West Bengal in its budget says that Calcutta, West Bengal is a consumption-driven economy. Manufacturing is not seen as a very strong point of in last so many years. And here is a company which is, from trading moved to, from having such a big brand Caterpillar, you could go on mining it and, and still you have to decide to set up a plant. So how do you see manufacturing as a growth strategy as far as West Bengal is concerned?
To be very honest, we haven't come across any challenges as of yet, if I have to put it across. To start with, Tractors India Limited has been here for ages now, been into manufacturing. There's no dearth of order book in terms of the company is concerned. What was lacking was a governance, and hence the company slipped. It was not because of the sales order or order backlog, which was not there to them. So being into manufacturing industry here, basically no challenge in terms of that you're in Kolkata and you will not get the orders. You're in Kolkata and you're still getting the orders. The reason for the company not to do well was altogether a different story there. Now coming to why do we set up here in Bengal, one of the major reasons is you have major coal mines, coal belt area in Jharkhand, Odisha, and Bengal here. So what we manufacture is huge machines. One of the machines which we manufacture, I was just mentioning sometime while ago, it's about a 3-story building. It's called high wall miner. One machine will cost approximately 90 crores we take orders approximately at 90 crores. So that's the size and kind of machines which we are talking about. So these machines needs to be shipped to the mining sites. They need to be moved across there, and then they have to be, first we have to assemble them, then again dismantle them into movable parts, and then take it to the site and assemble them back again and put them to working. So the proximity of the sites is one of the key reasons that we wanted to be here. Having said that, definitely we are importing the products or the components from global places and definitely from India as well. So is the logistic only the reason which we want to set it across here in Bengal, in Kolkata? No, probably is the kind of an skills which we require is also very much plentifully available here for us. Because this doesn't require, it's not a labor intensive, it's skilled labor intensive industry which we have to talk about. We would hire GITs, or graduate engineer technicians, which engineers we would require at a lower level. So that is the kind of employment we are looking at. And that is plentifully available here. Having said that, Bengal is very good with these kind of skills here. They're plentifully and easily available to us. We got a good industrial setup in Panagarh. The land is available for us, and what we require. So basically, our manufacturing components is land and people. Apart from the manufacturing components being there, it's land and people. That's what we require. They are the manufacturing machines for us. So if you visit our factory, you will just see one plain shed, some tooling equipment, and open space. That's what it is. We do not have any lines there. It is all done through people by hands and cranes. So why not Kolkata? Why not? Because you have everything what you want here. Yes, things have, there are nuances, there are challenges. I think every state has its own nuances and challenges. But if we really keep working towards it, we can always get the best of it. So we have no trouble getting what we want here.
I'm going to this Calcutta Club debate in the evening where Didi is also present. You must come with me. She will be very happy to hear you, all the nice words from you. And
this is an honest opinion. We actually, when I was interviewed, so I'm as old as my company is, 1 and a half year in my company. So when I was with the interview, Mr. Chaturvedi, I said, why Kolkata? I don't know why Kolkata. These people don't come here. And he's based out of Delhi. He's based out of Greater Noida. I said, from Noida you're coming here to Kolkata, why? So
that remains an enigma still after all your clarifications. Mr. Jaiswal, one very pertinent question and more applicable to your industry. Do you see ESG as a challenge or as an opportunity?
Okay. SGS is neither a challenge, not an opportunity. It is becoming a necessity now.
Wow.
It is becoming a necessity, and it will be a necessity if you want to have a sustainable growth. People do business for making profits. Yes, investor invest money, promoter do hard works to get more profits and all. But if you really want to have a sustainable business and sustainable growth, you have to have the ESG policy very clearly, well defined and well understood by your team. The biggest part is that what I have felt in last few months, particularly in my company, there was no clarity on the ESG policy. And in fact, I don't feel bad mentioning that few of the team members doesn't even know what is ESG. So that was a big shock for me. Team member, qualified CA, doesn't know what is ESG. I said, this is something which is really not acceptable at all. So first thing I did, make a proper policy in the company. Make a proper policy and in a simple, very simple and well-defined manner so that even a layman can understood it. No need to be a qualified person. That is how you have to bring the ESG things in the mind of the promoter. I asked my promoter, sir, we need to have a ESG policy. It is very, very important. So he said, Dinesh ji, it's better you do and then you explain to everybody. So, and now I given one example. Few days back, I was working on a proposal of a bank, and there I surprised to receive a format, a proper format, where you have to give ESG details of your company, what your company is doing in ESG. That is the first time I have found this. The bank is asking me to fill a proper format. So ESG is a opportunity. One sense, I agree with you, because ESG is going to be a very major thing. And if you are a ESG compliant, you take a pride in saying, yes, my company is ESG compliant, you'll definitely get a premium. I have read an article few days back where Nestle has 3 years back come up with a policy that Nestle is going to spend $2.1 billion USD in next 5 years for the environment and for the packaging material that Nestle use in its product. So from normal packaging material, it will completely shift to food grade materials, where they will have to invest 2.1 billion. So this is the importance of ESG. And few of the surveys has been done where, particularly after COVID, people are ready to pay extra money or extra premium if your product is ESG compliant, or you are taking care of the environment and you are taking care of the good governance and you are taking care of the people who are working or associated with you. People are ready to pay. Like we are now going to see the product which are like desi product or something organic product or something very basics which we used to use 10 years or 15 years, 20 years back. Now we are going to see, we want to have those products which are really naturally grown or without harming the environment. So the best thing a organization can do is have a good governance. That is the one part of it. But another part is without damaging the environment, as less as possible. Count your carbon footprints and see how much you are managing your source without damaging the environment and without giving any bad wastage or any bad things in the environment. This is how we have to manage and we have to grow. And if you really want to have a sustainable growth, we have to have the ESG and ESG policies across the organization, across the people, and across the country.
Excellent. Moving to Gaurav. Gaurav, we all have been reading about the Byju's and Paytm and maybe Vedanta, the corporate governance issues and all. But we are not in that front line like you. So, as a promoter of a fintech company, what are the lessons people can derive from what has happened in Paytm and what has happened in Byju's? How do you as a promoter see the key learnings from these fiascos that have happened recently?
So I think very clearly, being in a regulated business, again, every business is regulated to some extent, but a business like ours, if you are in financial services, you are very directly regulated with by one regulator. And especially in such a scenario, I think, as an entrepreneur or somebody who's leading the business, you have to very clearly accept and understand that compliance has to come first. So any new industry, I mean, even fintech, as we started, even us when we started as a company, you're trying to do new things, right? Any new business is trying to innovate, trying to do something new, because otherwise, how do you even establish your presence in any market and how do you grow to any meaningful size? But at the same time, I think it has to be recognized that you cannot cut corners when it comes to compliance. So I think, and the way you practically embed that in your system has to be in terms of systems and processes that you build to ensure that everything you are doing is compliant with regulations. And I think as long as you have that attitude, I do not think regulators are unreasonable. Right? So as long as you can demonstrate an intent to comply, everybody will make some mistakes or the other. I think, no matter what you're doing, if there is a inspection of some sort or if you are questioned, just given the plethora of regulations that are there, you will fall short on something or the other. But I think as long as you can demonstrate that you have built-in processes, that your intent is to comply, I think generally, whoever the regulator is will give you a chance to comply. I mean, there might be some fines, etc. involved. But I think that has to be built into the organization. So for us, practically, we are obviously regulated by RBI, and things keep changing. I mean, especially our industry is evolving very rapidly. Digital lending, it's an industry that did not exist 10 years ago. So the regulator itself is trying to understand the industry, trying to understand how to regulate it properly. And so therefore, over the last few years, you will see that there's been a bunch of regulations that have come. You know, the RBI setup post-COVID is when the industry really kind of took off and came into the limelight. I mean, pre-COVID, you know, we were all operating, at least some of us who started, you know, back in 2015, 16. But we were too small to matter, frankly. And we were, you know, business volumes were not that much. But I think after COVID, you know, the industry size really increased. It came into the limelight. I mean, sometimes for the wrong reasons, because you had a lot of people, you know, who came in with bad practices. But, you know, the RBI set up a working group to recommend regulations for the industry. Then in 2021 November, the digital lending guidelines actually came into effect. And subsequently, I mean, everybody reads the news and something or the other keeps happening in terms of regulations getting updated. And all of this means typically with every regulation, there is some change you need to make to your business in terms of process, how you are doing things, etc. So practically, it means that you have to have some of your resources always dedicated to this. So, you know, when it comes to a choice, you cannot say that, okay, you know, I'm going to focus on growth first. No, I mean, compliance has to come first, no matter what you do. And that message as a leader has to be given by you very clearly to everyone in the organization so that they internalize it. That, you know, if there is something related to compliance, you have to do that first before anything else. I think once you start building that culture, generally, hopefully, there will be no major problems that you encounter.
See, so far as I see it, the regulators, especially in a fintech kind of scenario, they have lesser understanding of what they have to regulate, you know. Whatever they are regulating, uska samajh, by the time the promoter does an innovation, they understand some few more innovations have happened in the market. So they are always in the catching up mode, you know, and they want to regulate this new tech, you know, through the old this thing. So that's a challenge. I think your industry will have to be more in communication with this thing. One common question I'll ask the panelists to take up. This is my personal always this thing. How do you see, as you said, if the intent is there, you know, how do you see authenticity as a strategy? Now this is a personal question. How businesses have to be nowadays, especially in social media, I'm finding anything which is authentic gets much more, you know, mileage than something which is, you know, superficial. So how do you people see, you know, authenticity as a business strategy? You know, that being authentic, you know, being true to your business helps you in the long run. For example, I've been a critic of Byju's for much before when they had a 22 billion valuation. You know, I've been criticizing them because they were not authentic. They were not true to their business. They didn't have any interest in that, and I can, you know, I can vouch as a parent for it. They didn't have any interest in the student. They didn't have any interest in their consumer. So how is authenticity important? You know, like you are serving students, or for example, you are serving capital goods industry. How do you see authenticity as an innovative growth strategy? Anybody would like to take this up?
Pawanji, you answered it to yourself that being connected to your consumers and stakeholders, that's what you are doing business to make profits for sure, but you're also, you chose a particular business. You liked a particular style and mode of business, and that's the reason why you're doing that business. You could have been anything. There are many ways of making money. But when you're coming into an organization, into a company, and you're there to serve the customers, whoever that customer may be, an end user, maybe intermediaries, maybe a service, whatever it is you're there to serve your customer. And if you're not authentic to your own customer, you do not believe in serving them with product or services, or to your stakeholders. Again, stakeholders doesn't mean just the promoter making money sitting back there. There are multiple stakeholders. There are government bodies, there are suppliers, there are employees. You have to be authentic to everyone. It's just not one single customer. It's who makes your business, who helps you run your business. You have to be authentic to each and everyone. It definitely reflects in the way you communicate to them, the way you deal with them, the way you negotiate with them, and the way you conclude your business with them.
Gaurav, would you like to add something?
Yeah, so I think, you know, as you mentioned and as Shashi ji also mentioned, I think authenticity is actually not a choice. I mean, beyond a point, if you're not authentic, you cannot sustain, you cannot grow, and in fact, you will probably collapse, right? So, and it's true not just with customers, as again Shashi ji was saying. I think it's with all your stakeholders, right? Whether it is regulators, whether it is investors, whether it is
Employees.
employees. I mean, eventually transparency, authenticity, believing in what you are doing, and that is critical.
Being true to what you are doing.
Being true to what you are doing, yes.
As a moderator, I have taken enough bites now. I'll open it to the floor, and anybody who wants to present any view.
Pawan ji, I would like to add here.
Yeah, please,
that
sir. Please.
Authenticity
Sorry.
things here. See, it's not that we are not authentic or people are not doing authentic business or they are not authentic to their consumers or the customers. The authenticity questions arises when we do our valuation or when we do our future projections, what we are going to do in the business for next 5 years or 10 years. Baiju's case is different, but normally when we try to project something, we try to build something that should be a realistic and not superficial. Like your valuation comes from your projections, not the authenticity. Now, if you are really intended to have and grow that business to that extent, your valuation is well derived. Like for example, I'm just giving one example. Like you see the valuation of Jai Balaji Steel and Siam Steel. Siam Steel is much better company. I'm sorry, I'm not biased to any company, but Siam Steel has got better market, better company profile and better factories and investments, whereas valuation of Jai Balaji is much higher than that. So this we people make the valuations, we people make the future projections, and then we present a very rosy pictures, and then we derive the valuation from there. So that is something which needs to be done. Now today's any company coming in the market, they call it book building process and they charge huge premium. Whether that premium is justifiable or sustainable, nobody questions. Nobody questions that and nobody sees that. If it is a little popular company, it is get 10 times subscribed. But is it really worth that we need to understand? So valuation, your presentation, your projections, and your working towards the achievement of those projections is what really matters for me.
Vikas, we must next time have a debate on market cap versus valuation. And that they are not the same things, is what Jaiswal ji has pointed out.
That's my bread and butter, always ready to 3 a.m. at night.
Yeah, good. Excellent point you made that, what essentially you meant to say was valuation is something different, it comes from what you actually would end up doing. Vis-a-vis, you can make Excel, you can put any number, you can come out with any kind of fancy value. This thing, yes. I will now open it to the floor. If there is anybody who wants to present any additional perspective or want to ask the panel any questions, please come forward. Yes, please, the mic on that side.
My question is for Gaurav. Like before granting loan, there are many credibility issues to be seen. When it is done online, like what are the criteria? And if it is a 24/7, so like when you apply for a home loan or a syndicate or any loan, they ask for a long credibility standing for last 3 years balance sheet and blah, blah, blah. So for online, it is, what's the strategy you are adopting so that it is very fast?
So I think the first thing is that a loan is a generic product, but actually if you break it down, as you said, there's a home loan, there's a two-wheeler loan, there's a personal loan, there's a consumer durable loan. All of these are actually very different products. So one is on the nature of the loan product itself. The second dimension on which you classify is who's your customer. Now, are you giving a 500 crore loan? That is also a loan, but it's a very different way in which you will evaluate that versus are you giving a 2 lakh rupee loan versus are you giving a 2,000 rupee loan. So I think if you kind of were to look at it across these two dimensions, there are various combinations, and depending on which combination you are catering to, your process of evaluating and underwriting will be very different. now some of these, for example, if you're giving a home loan, I think no matter whether you're doing it offline or online, there are certain steps that will be needed. You will have to get the property documents validated and various things. So, can you provide a home loan at 2 a.m. in the night, somebody logging into an app? It's not going to work, right? So I think you have to, there are certain places where a certain process works, and your kind of business and process has to be designed accordingly. So for us, we focus in particular on, for example, unsecured loans, right? So again, if there is security involved, I think the process will necessarily be elongated to some extent, and there might even an offline component maybe cannot be avoided, right? Because if the asset has to be vetted, etc., right? But when you come to unsecured loans, because there is no security, the process can be simpler. All that being said, obviously at the end of the day, when you are lending money, you want to get it back. I mean, that is the business. So therefore, what is called underwriting, right? In terms of understanding the intent and the ability of the borrower to repay. In our particular case, and in digital loans in general, unsecured digital loans, the process is based broadly on, one is the traditional metrics, which is you look at income, you look at you look at cash flows. So there are various proxies that you can take, right? So people can submit salary slips online on the app, right? Just like you submit them physically. So you ask for bank statements. Now we've got something called account aggregator framework, which is something we actually use, right? Where you can directly, with the borrower's permission, you can pull their bank account transaction data directly from their bank, right? So there are various, I think, eventually businesses like us today exist because of the digital infrastructure that India has built over the years, in terms of being able to do the KYC of a person online, in terms of being able to collect financial information of a person online, in terms of the even the banking payment infrastructure, right? The entire UPI infrastructure, which allows you to disburse money instantly via APIs, collect money at any time, create mandates very easily. So all of these are enablers without which companies like us, frankly, would not exist, at least in this form, right? So I think that digital infra, just like with physical goods, you need physical infrastructure, right? To build factories, if you don't have good roads which allow you to transport goods or get raw materials, it will not work. You will not be able to set up a factory to manufacture things, right? Similarly, in the digital world, it's the digital infrastructure. If the UPI stack was not there, if I was not able to do the KYC of a person online, if Aadhaar did not exist, how do you give a loan online? It's not possible, right? So
about the repayments, like the college students don't have their income at all. So you provide moratorium to that you start repaying after you start your job or something like that.
Yeah, that's a slightly different product where we have, so again, as I said, we give very small amounts of money to that segment. That's how we started our business. That is no longer the mainstay of our business. And there the lending would be less than 5,000 rupees to each borrower. And generally our kind of customers, specifically speaking, are not elite college students who are going to IITs, etc. These are people who will be in tier 2, tier 3 colleges. Normally, they'll be working with their families, doing some part-time work, earning money, going to evening college. So it's a very different profile of customer, not how we typically think of somebody going to St. Xavier's. I mean, that's not the kind of customer that we have. Yeah, they don't need to borrow 2,000 rupees or one. They'll just go to their father, mother, friends and get that money.
Right. Can I ask a question to Gaurav? Yeah?
Sure.
Sorry. Yeah. So on the same lines, right, we've been talking about how there's been an offtake of credit, right? So historically speaking, culturally, we've been saying that taking too much of debt is not a good thing. And now there are studies and data that's coming up where India also, people are taking a lot of small loans, and which are, like you said, unsecured loans. So from a cultural shift perspective, how do you see that this is something that's a good thing? Is it here to stay, or people should be more careful about while taking loans, and specifically unsecured loans, right? And like you said, these are students who are taking it. So what's your, I know on the business side, this is of course your business, but as an individual, how do you see this?
Before Gaurav takes that up here, you are asking a barber whether a haircut is required or not.
That's precisely what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, so with that in mind, with that context, I'll still try to answer that question. Obviously, my perspective. One is, I'll not get into the moral argument of this, right? I mean, there are moral arguments. Some people feel very strongly against debt. Yeah, so from an economic perspective, I think practically, if you look at the journey of economies, I think it is just data that tells you that no economy has grown without increasing the share of credit in GDP. Obviously, corporate credit is there, but even consumer credit, naturally grows. So whether you look at developed economies, whether you look at emerging economies, you look at Southeast Asian countries, countries like Korea, etc., whichever, China, I mean, you look at the journeys, right? I mean, credit naturally grows as per capita GDP grows. So I think this is not something that India can do differently. Sometimes, it's just historical evidence tells you that it's going to be this way. And I think there's a reason for that, right? Things evolve. I mean, there's always a reason behind it. You may not understand it, but when you look at data and there are certain trends that have persisted through decades, there's generally a reason. I think the reason is as people, when, and again, this is basic. So people, I mean, when you have low income, most of your income is going into necessities. And you don't have the luxury of, borrowing and purchasing and paying for luxury, right? And you don't have enough disposable income to even repay debt. But as your income grows, as per capita GDP grows, the country gets more affluent, necessities are a lower portion of your income. Therefore, your ability to basically smoothen out your cash flow cycle. I mean, generally, if you think of lending in that manner, earlier in your career, you have lower savings, you are earning money, but you have more needs, right? So later on, you've accumulated savings, etc., and then you are able to kind of run down those savings. So earlier, when the country is younger, and that's exactly where India is, if you want to, buy things people want, and again, not getting into the moral argument, should somebody buy a better car or a better home, etc., what is affordability? But the point is, there is a happiness quotient that comes with consumption. And in order to do that, there is some amount of leverage that is required, right? Because again, it's a question of demographics, economics. I mean, these things are, people understand this better than me. They've been written about. But I think that's, generally, it's not something you can get away from. And I think, the government and even the RBI recognizes it. So there's been a lot of noise recently about RBI being concerned about personal credit growth, etc. Yes, there is concern, but I think their concern is not that personal credit is growing. I think they also recognize that it will grow as a percentage. But over the last couple of years, maybe the growth was very rapid. So the rate of growth, they want to curtail a little bit for some time. I don't think, RBI as a regulator or the government of India is saying that personal credit should not grow, people should not take loans. I think that it's recognized that that's going to be a part of our growth journey.
Gaurav, on a lighter note, जनरली हम पेरेंट्स क्या करते हैं, बच्चे को ज़्यादा पैसे मत दो, बिगड़ जाएगा, गलत लाइन पे चला जाए. आई होप mPokket is not doing that.
So I'll take that on Gaurav's behalf. mPokket is actually instilling the financial discipline and creating a credit history at a very early age for your child. And because I've represented him in banks and this question comes up. And I say कि early age के अंदर 18-19 साल के अंदर borrowing करने का और repayment करने का financial discipline उनमें उनकी credit history बन रही है. So that's the positive part. Yes, Vivek, you wanted to ask.
One thing like Dinesh जी जो बोले पैसा parents नहीं देते हैं कि लड़के बिगड़ जाएंगे, बच्चे बिगड़ जाएंगे, उनको मालूम है पैसा वापस नहीं देना है. And nowadays people are aware of the CIBIL, so this students loan, I think the bad debt will be lower in students loan than compared to other loans. Or I don't know, maybe vice versa.
I'm very surprised that you have made that observation. It's a correct observation, but it's very counterintuitive. And generally, everybody that you speak to will say, "Arey, ye to bahut hi risky business hai." But actually, delinquencies in that segment are the lowest. So we give loans to salaried people who actually earn a monthly salary, validated, right? Where we have validated, looking at their bank statements, they're receiving salary. We give loans to self-employed people, high CIBIL. So, our delinquencies are actually lowest in the.
But Gaurav, by seeing your website just now, I created an account and seeing 48% of rate, there's always a fear, 48% yearly annualized rate of interest. Maybe there are some ifs and buts जहाँ पर आपको लगता है probability of loss will be higher. So that will go, I don't know how it works. The question was like what we were discussing with Dinesh ji, and we were always coming up with Byju's and Paytm. I feel companies like Byju's were never made for business. It was about GMV and this startup ecosystem. Apart from what Gaurav started with a startup with a business, the GMV business and the exit where the promoters are looking, they're actually not making business for business, but they're making business to make money, short-term money. A long-term business cannot grow with cash burn. That is what my personal feeling is. You are better person to answer, Pawan ji and the
I honestly, as far as Byju's is concerned, I don't hold Byju's responsible. People invested, and the Sequoias and I don't know who all are, but all large. Did they have their eyes closed? Somebody at a basic level, like me, and you can go and visit my Facebook page, and I've written since 2020. I've been writing against them. I could see the downfall coming. Those people with all those kind of large investment bankers, and they simply close their eyes. So it is not the fault of Byju's. अगर bank loan दे रही है और कोई ले रहा लेने वाले का दोष नहीं है. It is people who closed their eyes, just looked at the numbers and went on randomly investing with them. Never went and took the customer feedback. Horror stories are there on internet about how the Byju's are treating their employees. See, this Byju's thing is personally so close to my heart, and because it बहुत sensitive segment है. आज एक गरीब घर का बच्चा वो 8-10,000 20,000 30,000 रुपया इन्वेस्ट करके एक टैबलेट खरीद के अपने बच्चे को दे रहा है कि उसका मार्क्स इंप्रूव होगा, and that segment is totally getting cheated. So that kind of a business, the fault lies with the investors, not with Mr. Ravindran, I would say.
In fact, let me add to that, Pawanji. I have been following Byju's since I was into education for a very, very long time. I am. We've been tracking Byju's since 2012, 2013. And we were fascinated by the amount of content that they created and the kind of business that they created. The problem starts when you have investors on board, because then they push you to कि मेरे को top line दीजिए, मेरे को growth दीजिए, right? And every quarter is a struggle to get to a higher number. I think that's where the problem starts. So the business was created with all the good intent, I'm sure. It's because of the investors that this problem started.
I think same happened with Paytm also. It was created with a good intention, but again, investor business and something which is expensive for someone, it is not expensive, or it's cheaper for other. So that's why the buy and sell transaction happened, as you were saying about Jai Balaji and other companies.
Exactly, coming back what Dinesh ji said, making the right projections and the valuations.
Difference between perception and valuation.
No, so if you don't oversell yourself, you sell them at the right value, give them the right timelines, the pressure would be eased out.
All this is coming to that question that I asked, whether authenticity is a business strategy, and we all can feel in this. Anybody else on the back side? Yeah, please pass on the mic to her.
I have a question with Shashi ma'am. Ma'am, you were saying that you are working with, like you supply your products, machines, 94 machines to Coal India. So I was associated with Coal India in some manner, and I have a knowledge that some there or other these mines will be shut down. Or you are supplying to products related to mining area, and we know that resources are limited. This is not renewable. So how you see the future of these machines and engineering, Gainwell engineering?
Okay, so just a small correction. First of all, we are not supplying the machines to Coal India.
Okay.
So what happens? Let me give you a brief thing that how does it really work. Coal India comes out with a tender, which is being attended by these mining companies. They bid in for it, and they take the MDO, means mining, develop and operate. So they are supposed to mine, develop the mine areas, and then extract the coal from the mines and sell it to them. That's how these MDOs work. So these machines are sold to them. And if you really go into the websites of the Coal India and the other articles, if you'll see that we have not even extracted, as far as the underground mines are concerned, we have not
now, I understand they are ready for the open cast mining. So in Coal India, most of the undercast, they have mined that. So they are now doing open cast. But these resources are limited.
Open cast is limited now. It's the other way around. Yeah. Underground mines have not been explored that much as compared to open cast. Open cast is nearing exhaustion. And open cast is also not very preferable because of the environmental issues. Whereas underground, what happens is you maintain the earth, the outer crust of the layer of the earth. Whereas the mines, you go deep down the earth and get the coal out from there. So it is more environmental friendly. You ensure that the way these mines are being developed and mined is to ensure that the entire it is environmental friendly to the earth. It does not do much damage to the earth there. Definitely the damage is there when you are excavating anything out of the Mother Earth. You are damaging, but nonetheless it is done in the most preserved fashion in a conservative manner.
I'm asking about, ma'am, ki these resources which we are mining, these are all limited.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
what is the future like if you are
So
supplying
we
these
have
kind
a
of machines?
we have a good amount of reserves still under the earth right now.
How many years? Like 100 years, 200 years?
100 to 100 years. See, these keep on replenishing. It's just on. We are not talking about India
We
itself.
can just, it will also grow.
Yes, it will grow. It will definitely grow. Right now, we have a target of 1 billion metric ton production for 2026. That's huge. India is one of the biggest coal producers. We have, and this license which we are talking about, the machines which we are talking about, is just not for India. We have a global license. We'll be serving the customers of the entire globe here. And again, you have mines. It's not limited to only to coal. We will be also getting into the metal industries, metal mines as well. So hence, the opportunity has just, and there are the other soft rocks as well. Forget metals. That's the, again.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Ma'am, I will request you to explore the thermal power story in India is very different from the perception. It is one of the most growing industries in the next 5,
I'm sure
10
it's
years.
more, sir. Thank you.
But the perception because of ESG is very different. Last 2 questions I will like to take before I'm getting a request from this thing to close, the session. Yes, please pass on the mic over there.
Thanks. I would just like to have hear from all of you rather that what should be the role of HR in this, in the phenomenon story you have induced us so far, and what would be the suggestion for the HR people and HR management team?
See, I just told in my speech that the knowledge and awareness about the growth and sustainability, that is the one key factor. And I would request the HR and the team of HR to take training sessions on the ESG. Believe me, government has already projected or signed a pact of carbon footprints of 2.5. Whereas in our, at least I'm talking about steel industry, it is minimum 6 to 7. So from there to bring down to 2.5 is a hell lot of job. Just few days back, I was part of one environment clearance presentation to the Ministry of Environment, where we have projected for our new project, upcoming project, we have projected a carbon emission of 3.5. They are simply said, boss, it is not acceptable because our government has the target of 2.5. I said, sir, currently all are in the range of 6 to 7 and we are projecting 3.5. Well, that's fine. We are trying to monitor that also and trying to reduce that also. So this is very important. So I would request HR to have a proper training session among your team, across the company about the awareness of ESG. Recently, there is a new term came, green steel. Now, green steel is, US is telling that if you really want to export your steel to US, it has to be a green steel. Now, those compliances, if you really want to be competitive in the international market, you have to follow the ESG, and your carbon footprint is the most important. If you are not supplying green steel to US, you have to pay the additional duty on the product that you are selling to US. So my suggestion and my request to the HR and all the people that please bring awareness among your team, among your friends, among your colleagues about the ESG.
In interest of time, Vikash is standing and giving me all kinds of isharas from behind. And see, I always like to end my sessions on a very lighter note with a bit of humor. So with no disrespect to HR, my suggestion to HR will be they should create some innovative growth strategy and not say, I will get back to you. And around that, they should create some more innovative answers. And with that, I will close this session and we'll proceed for lunch. Vikash, I'll request somebody to take me over from here.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
sir, ma'am, for everything. Not only for the people who are professionals already, but for people like us who are trying to launch our careers, you have been an example for us. Before we let you go, we would like you to have a quick picture with us. So we'll just call VG for that too.
We also recognize the presence of Mr. Manoj Batwal. Please come here, sir. Mr. Vineet Patwari, Dr. Dipali Singhi, Mr. Sanjeev Kesri, Mr. Chetan Mehta, and Mr. Basant Agarwal. So please.
So what a morning it has been. I always say this, that I'm very nervous and excited whenever we organize this. It's exactly 2 o'clock, right? And I never imagined that we're going to delay lunch on a program like this, and we'll still have people patiently listening and actively engaging into this discussion. Once again, this entire event is an expression of gratitude. I always say this. Once again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting all of you here. Please join us for lunch, and we will interact over lunch as well. Thank you so much. Thank you.